RAM OCS. Configuration of 2 amplifiers with a 3-way stereo system. The first thing we need to do is generate the system configuration presets. To do this, we need to connect an amplifier, scan the network, and open the amplifier on the screen. Here we see an empty library where we will create 3 output presets: low, mid, and high, and 1 input preset. We will then combine all these presets into a global preset which will define our system. We start by assigning the root of all the outputs to input 1. We then press send to update the information stored in the amplifier. Next we create the output preset for the low ways. We will do this in channel A, for example. We select the preset number we want to create, we add a name, and we assign an identifying label. If we wanted to see the response curve in real time using an external measurement system, we would activate real time at this point. We now select crossover IR, and we configure a low pass and a subsonic filter. Next we will define the equalization and we will add the necessary filters to correct the speaker response. For example, we add 3 parametric equalizations and a small shelving filter. We then configure the limiters, for example to limit RMS power to 800 watts and peak to 1600 watts. We check the amplifier's own gain and attenuation levels, and then we save them in the output preset. To do this we need to go back to the DSP Edit tab, we check that the preset number and name are correct, and we click on the Send button. Next we create the mid and high way presets in the same way, using in this case for example channels B and C. We assign a preset number and a name, we configure the process and we save the presets in the same way as before. We make some last-minute adjustments to gain and delay, and we save the 3 presets again. Next we change the assignation of the output preset to the channels we need. For example, we will assign the low presets to channels A and B, mid to C, and high to D. We then press Load to load the preset we have in the library and Send to send it to the corresponding channel. This means that channels A and B are now linked, as they have the same preset number. Next we need to define the input preset. Using input 1 we assign a number and a preset name, and an identifying label. Here we would configure any level, delay or equalization parameter necessary. However, in our case we are not going to modify anything, and we leave it completely flat. Now we press Send to send this preset to the amplifier library, and load it in the input 1. Lastly, we can create a global preset that will allow us to retrieve the complete configuration with the assignation of presets to each input and output automatically. To do this we need to go to the Global Preset section, assign a name and number, and press the Send All button. This creates the definition of the new global preset in the amplifier, and reloads them in their new positions. During the creation of the different presets it would have been possible not to press the Send button after the creation of each one, and to send all at the end of the process on creation of the global preset. but as a safety measure to safeguard each process created in each input and output we have done it this way. Now, and also as a safety measure, we need to save the complete library on a computer file. To do this we go to the Library tab, we check that all the presets we have created are visible in the list and we press Save Library File. We add a name and we validate. We now have an amplifier with a library of presets that we need for our system. What we need to do next is transfer this library to another amplifier and load the global preset we created to retrieve our configuration. We start by turning on the second amplifier and rescanning the network using the magnifying glass plus icon, which allows us to add the new amplifier to our network once found. Before we do this, it would be a good idea to identify the first amplifier with a name so that it is clear in each moment which amplifier is which, without having to check their serial numbers. To do this we right-click on the amplifier and we select the option Rename Device. We introduce a name, for example peer left. Next we rescan the network and add another amplifier. If we want to, we can also assign a name to this amplifier, in this case peer right. We continue with the configuration of this second amplifier. To do this, the easiest way is to open the amplifier and load the library, which we created and stored in our computer, directly from the Library tab. Next we go to our global preset list. We select the preset we have created and press the button Send and recall selected preset. After a few seconds we can check that the preset has been transferred to this amplifier, both the global preset and all the individual presets that make up the global preset. We could also have carried out this step through the DSP Edit window, in the same way we did for the first amplifier. Once we have the amplifiers configured, we have the option to monitor alerts with the button to the right of the zone named Amplifiers, or manage the presets simultaneously through the Preset Manager window. We could also create, if necessary, different control groups to simultaneously modify the gain or delay of different sections in both amplifiers. For example, we can separate low, mid, and high to control level and delay independently by way. To do this we go to the Control Groups section and we create 3 folders with the names of the ways. In each folder we now create, for example, some gain and delay control groups. We then drag the amplifiers directly from the amplifier zone to each of the control groups we have created, and in each case we select the section we want to control. For example, to control the level of low ways, we need to drag the amplifier zone over the gain control of the low ways, and select the output resource type, and channels A and B. Once we have done this with all the resources, we can click on the button of each way to add a head virtual gain in each of the outputs, in this case. We could also have created, for example, an independent control of the low ways in the left folder and another on the right, and at the same time included in a general control low. We would do this by creating 2 different gain control groups and by dragging only the corresponding amplifier to the desired gain control group. This way, we have a gain control of all the low ways on the left, another on the right, and another that groups them all. These gain controls are independent, and the final virtual gain result will be the sum of each one, which we can see by the total gain window value in each amplifier. We can create, in the same way we have created these groups for delay, alerts, and shortly, equalization, both for input and output. The only thing left to do now is to save our project so that this configuration can be modified at any time.